And welcome back to Key the Lights here on Princeton Community Television. I'm Misha.
I'm Jenny.
I'm Rachel.
And we are here with Amartya and Anoushka. And since we are a teen talk show, and we're one of the younger generations here on Princeton Community Television, we wanted to have people that were more in our age range that did fantastic and fabulous things as well. So, you guys were involved with the Hillary Clinton campaign.
And the Olympics, in Brazil.
So, let's start out by talking about the Hillary Clinton campaign and what you guys did there. So, what are some of the things that you did?
Well, originally we just did some volunteer work. We went to Pennsylvania a couple times to register voters, bring out the voting initiatives, and canvass for Secretary Clinton. And then they also opened an office here in Princeton where we could phone bank and make buttons. So that's how we volunteered.
Well, most of the things we did were in the Princeton office. I usually made buttons, and he usually phone banked, and they'd have like small computers, and they'd give everyone phones, like flip phones, and they'd have information of mostly Democratic residents in the area, and you'd call them, and most of the times they wouldn't answer, but you just move on to the next person.
So how did you get started in this political work or in politics?
Well, it was our parents' idea at first, but as we got into it, at least as I got into it, I really started to understand the importance of volunteering in a campaign like that, because even other countries that have a democracy don't give an opportunity for people to volunteer and canvass for their candidates. So I realized the importance of that, and because America is really a beacon of democracy, and it's really being a good public citizen, and it's taking advantage of the rights we have, and I encourage other people our age to do that. So that's good.
And also, even though like all of us here can't vote yet, it's our voices and our actions in the political world are still important, because we can still make a difference. We can still encourage people to vote for a candidate we think they should vote for, and we can still do a lot to help get a candidate elected.
So by doing this, you're hoping to demonstrate to other kids our age or younger or older that what you do can really make a difference?
Well, definitely. Along the fact that we did want Secretary Clinton to win, and but I do think it's important that children, at least have some interest. Watch the news, know what's going on, because some people in my grade who are a bit older than me 4 years from now can vote. So it's important to know just in general what goes on. And even if people do want to volunteer, we in the beginning did not see really why we should, but our parents got us into it, and then we really actually had a pretty good time, and it taught us a lot. So even if you think, oh, that's kind of lame, you really do learn something. You kind of get surprised.
Yeah, basically what he said, and also at the start you will think, wait, why am I doing this? Nobody else does this, but it's actually a unique experience. It's not something you can get just anywhere else. So if you volunteer, you should encourage your friends or people around your age who you know to do it as well, because they might also have a good time and become interested in politics as well.
So you said that you really wanted Hillary to win. You never leaned for the other candidate, Bernie Sanders?
Well, I do give a lot of credit to Senator Sanders, because he addressed a lot of important issues. For example, college affordability and higher levels of education affordability for that. But I feel like Secretary Clinton's policies just lined up more with my views. For example, like Senator Sanders said he'd make college totally free. In my opinion, that's a bit of a pipe dream because someone has to pay for it. The colleges have to get money from somewhere, even if it's like public schools get money through property taxes. If that were to be the same case with colleges, someone is emptying out their wallet paying taxes for those schools. So there's no way really to make college totally free of cost. But I think it's good that after Secretary Clinton got the nomination, they were able to find some common ground on that issue and other issues, and I think they were able to move forward as a united party.
Well, personally, why I wanted Hillary to win was, well, of course, my views were influenced by my parents, and even since this 2008, my mom has been a very enthusiastic Hillary supporter, and I also believe that it's time we elect a woman as our president because democracy is about equality, and I think we should elect a woman eventually.
How do let Saudi Arabia beat us in a woman president? Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't let women drive cars.
Yeah, and she became one before dying. But
So how do you feel about Trump
Um,
compared to Hillary? So
well, I'll let you answer that first. Sorry.
Well, of course, it's not what we hoped would happen, but eventually we all have to accept it and maybe give him a fair shot. But, we all hoped otherwise.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing, especially because me and my dad, we were at the Jacob Javits Center where she was supposed to make her victory speech, but that did not play out as planned. So.
But as you do that, you feel like, as you're campaigning for it, you feel that your voice is being heard, which sometimes, like, if you ask people our age, why aren't you more involved in politics, they'll be like, my voice can't be heard. But while you're doing this, you really realize the importance of doing your share, because if everybody does, then everybody's voice can be heard.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought the same thing. Well, I mean, children cannot vote. If you're younger than 18, you can't. But really, there's so many ways for people to be involved. We met a little girl who was 8 years old who would come in with her mother and make buttons with Anoushka. And it's things like that that are really uplifting. And even though our candidate lost, I certainly learned a lot of lessons from it, a lot of things that I didn't know about myself, and even though the outcome that we wanted did not happen, I really learned a lot, and it was a very good experience for me.
Yeah, so that 8-year-old girl she'd come with her mother and we'd sit together and we'd make buttons, and it just shows that children of all ages, younger or older, there's always a possibility that you can participate in the political cycle, and you can always do something to make your voice heard.
So, are you thinking of like a future career? I mean, doing more in politics and like influencing the next generation and listening and stuff?
Politics definitely has become an interest and passion of mine. But in the long run, I don't really know yet if being a politician or doing something in politics is something I would do. I mean, I will definitely always volunteer for my candidate as long as I can, from 4 years from now, 8 years from now, and until I'm a senior citizen. I mean, I'm going to do it as long as I can because it's important. But if you're asking if I were to ever want to run for office when I was growing up, I don't know if I can really make a decision on that quite yet. Maybe Anoushka, I don't know.
Well, I think I'd definitely volunteer again if there happens to be a candidate which I think should be elected. I definitely encourage people our age, older, anyone to help and volunteer and get out there and get the vote out. But I don't think I'd run for office or anything, but I'd definitely be involved. Definitely.
So what did you take from your experience?
Well, a lot of things there were a lot of things that I learned, like for example, a couple times in phone banking, sometimes not everyone is the nicest, and you kind of learn to how, even if they're of the opposite party or they oppose your candidate and favor someone on the other side, you learn how to keep a thick skin and always not be rude in return, and leave a nice thank you message, and so it's there's a lot of things that you can learn, and that was one of the biggest things I learned, keeping a thick skin, because to be a good politician or a salesman you have to have a thick skin, and for those 15-16 months that these candidates go through, they get beat up verbally by critics, by the media, by their opponents a lot. So that's definitely something that I took away from campaigning and volunteering.
Well, while volunteering, I'd learned to deal with disappointment. It was one major thing, because not just if your candidate loses, but even when you're phone banking, and most of the times nobody picks up the phone, so you just gotta move on. Don't get stuck on one person, and you never really know who's gonna pick up the phone, so you just wanna just be nice. You don't wanna say too much, and even if they seem annoyed or they just don't wanna talk, you just say okay, thank you, goodbye, and you just move on. So yeah, you just learn to keep your cool, and that there's gonna be somebody there who will answer and who will want to do something.
All right, so in terms of the Electoral College, what do you guys think about it? Like it, dislike it, and why?
Well, the Electoral College, it's not perfect, and even though Secretary Clinton got more votes, there are many pros to the Electoral College. For example, if the election were totally based off of the popular vote, really a candidate would only have to win California, New York, Texas, the states with the most population. New York City itself has 8 million people, and California and New York tending to go to the vote for the Democratic candidate, it would really be a Democratic president every time, and I feel like in Washington, healthy debate is needed between the two parties, because that's how our system is made. It's a two-party system, and also the Electoral College, it's found a way to have states with more population have more votes, but not so many more votes that the rural areas, kind of the Rust Belt and the middle of the country, the part of the country that tended to vote for President-elect Donald Trump, that tended to favor him. It doesn't. The Electoral College finds a way for them to totally not get ignored, because if there was no Electoral College, you would just have to go to the coasts, really, California and New York, to win an election. So.
Well, like my brother mentioned, that the Electoral College has both pros and cons. It helps more votes be more valuable, I guess. And, there's most of the times it's the Electoral College helps the election, and there are some situations where it doesn't. And so I think it should definitely stay, but there maybe should be brushed up, or there should be some things that should be changed about it.
So, in terms of role models, either past presidents or figures in politics, who do you look up to?
Well, I did get to meet a couple of my role models who maybe even if they weren't my role models in the past, definitely became during the process of volunteering. I got to meet former President Bill Clinton. Twice actually. He at a fundraiser in North Jersey, he told me, probably guessing my age, around 13, 14 years old. He told me, you really want to start thinking about what you want to do the next 85 years of your life. And prior to that, he was talking about how work under his presidency and work that Hillary Clinton did as Senator and Secretary of State, how a lot of diseases now have been, there's a cure for them, and a lot of people our age have the potential of living much longer lives. And so his point was, for the youth who really need to get more involved, they have the potential of living much longer lives, and they should not waste it. So that was definitely a very memorable moment for me.
Well, there's one major reason why I actually look up to Hillary Clinton. It's because when, in her concession speech after losing the election, she said that there are still many girls around the country who can still run for president, run for office, and succeed. And that just gave me hope and the feeling that even though she lost, she still won't give up. She still won't stop fighting for the things she's been fighting for ever since she's been in this public eye.
So, to sort of wrap up the topic of politics before we move on, you guys want people our age to be more involved in politics, and were you involved in helping people register to vote?
Yeah, earlier in the summer, we went to an office in Bristol, Pennsylvania, near Bucks County, and there was a local park there. We went there, and we just go around asking people to register to vote. I mean, we couldn't tell them who to vote for or which party to register as, but it's also important for people just to increase turnout as well. So.
Yes, we were registering voters in Bristol, and but a lot of the times when people would see that we were volunteering for Hillary, they'd like step away, and they'd kind of be like, "Oh well, you're probably gonna persuade me to vote for her." And so a lot of the times people would say they're registered, even maybe when they weren't. And yeah, so there weren't many people who we'd get registered, but there were actually a few.
All right, so you guys went to Brazil to watch the Olympics. So we're going to start talking about your experience while you were there. So just to start off the conversation, why'd you guys go?
Well, at around the end of the 2012 Olympics in London, my mom had found out that the firm that she works for was an official partner of the Olympics for the Rio Olympics, and we were able to get tickets because of that to go to Rio. I don't think going to Rio was ever something that I had planned to do, but it was definitely a great experience.
And also, before we went, there was a lot of discussion throughout the media about the Zika virus and all the how unsafe it would be. But when we went, there was really none of that really came to play. Like, it was really amazing. Wherever we went, it was all taken care of. Everything was greatly handled, and it was a really great experience.
So did you just get tickets to go, or did you get to go backstage because your mom's firm was, closely together with it?
Well, yeah, we did not just only go to events. There was an event where so my mom's firm, they did a study that a lot of people, especially women in athletics and sports, tend to do very well in the private sector. So they recruited some athletes who could maybe work for that firm, and at that event we got to meet a lot of athletes there, which was also very cool.
Yes, we at that meeting, I remember we met an Australian swimmer and we got to hold her silver medal, and it was heavy, surprisingly. It was amazing. We got to meet rowers, fencers, so many from the US and abroad.
So what did you take from that experience?
Well, being a very big sports fan myself, it's always a dream for someone to just go and witness, forget about even participate. But that was definitely a dream come true for me. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for me.
And also, even though like at our age you wouldn't be able to go to the Olympics, but you're never too young to like prepare or to start. Like you can always start training for the Olympics. You can always you can always just go, and if you really want to, if you work for it, you could make it.
What were your favorite sports?
Well, I play a lot of basketball. You can ask my sister. She has to go to a lot of my games. And sometimes they're not really close to home. And one of the rowers that we met in Rio encouraged me to take up rowing, so I started that, which was also pretty fun in the fall. And it's a lot of work. It really builds up your legs, so that also helped me for basketball too. So basketball is probably, well, not probably, it's my favorite sport.
Well, I've never really been much of an athlete, but I used to play tennis, and I've just started basketball, and last year I started lacrosse, and they're actually pretty fun. So, yeah.
And it's good that she also plays basketball and lacrosse, because those are two that I play as well, so I can kind of help her out, and finally there's someone I can play with. So yeah, we tend to have a pretty fun time.
So would you want other teenagers to go to the Olympics and see what you saw? Would you think it would be good for them to see what's happening there?
Definitely. I mean, the atmosphere at the events, it's something you cannot get from watching on TV. And if anyone has the opportunity, I don't think anyone would turn it down. But yeah, I mean, if you have that opportunity to go and see something that amazing, I would definitely take it.
Yeah, and also even the reason why, well, one of the main reasons why the safety issue never really concerned us was because all the natives of Rio were, and all the Brazilians, the energy was so uplifting, and it never really crossed your mind that something could go wrong. And I remember we went to a volleyball game and it was raining, and the Brazilian crowd was still like up and on their feet, and it was wild.
Did you ever root for the other team besides America?
Well, we went to a soccer game between Brazil and Germany, and we were probably rooting for Brazil just because, for them to win something like soccer, which is big for them there, was cool. But most of the events that we went to were with the U.S. We went to 2 basketball games, which was awesome for me, because it's like all NBA stars on one team who I worship, playing on one team, and I got to see that, so that was the best part for me. Yeah.
Well, my favorite part would probably be the atmosphere, and the weather was actually surprisingly better than I thought it would be. It was not too cold, not too hot, and the food was delicious. I got to eat. We all got to eat some new things. It was really great.
So, besides going to the Olympics, I heard you had some other time in Brazil to explore some of the cultural differences. So, what did you find that was interesting there?
Yeah, we did have a couple days after the Olympics were over. We got to go to the Christ Redeemer statue, which was a lot of fun. And there's a lot of interesting wildlife too in Rio. That was cool to see as well.
Well, one of the most unforgettable parts of just exploring Rio was when we went to the rainforest in an open jeep, and it's so surprising. The one most surprising thing is when you're riding through the like on the ground because the rainforest was on a mountain. It's like the normal temperature, and suddenly it just drops when you go up on the mountain, and it gets so much colder, and it was amazing. We got to see all the wildlife and the plants and waterfalls, and it was beautiful.
So, I'd just like to thank you guys for coming on our show. It was fabulous having you. You guys are doing wonderful things in politics.
You are, really.
You went to the Olympics to watch it, and it's so interesting to hear about like your emotions going through all of this and what you've taken away from it. And I do hope that it inspires some of our viewers to perhaps get more involved in politics or inspire one of us three. And so just keep doing what you're doing, and I hope you guys enjoyed our show. Thank you.